Some anglers call scope a toy, a kiddie's rod.
People thought it was a joke, like initially.
Early stages, people probably didn't have a great deal of confidence in the product.
Felt like a step backwards. Strange, looking back now at it, to feel that way about something that's totally changed my fishing.
I was right there at the conception of scope, fishing a massive pit with Kev. And yeah, it was there that Kev had this eureka moment. It could really change the way we went carp fishing. When we first brought scope, into the marketplace, it was without doubt met with resistance.
I think we were always told that telescopic rods were somehow cheaper and inferior.
Is it going to be able to cast, the quality of it? It's gimmicky. It's like usually a telescopic rod would be something you'd go down to do a bit of sea fishing off the rocks or something silly.
It's really hard, isn't it, once you've got that idea in your head to reassess the situation and look at it objectively.
It's only really Kev and I who truly believed in it, I suppose, in those early days.
But the same thing again, once people actually got their hands on them and used them, they realised there were so many different angling applications they could be used for.
And people soon realised the virtues of, being able to go carp fishing for big carp in extreme situations with these shorter rods. Yeah, that was the birth of scope.
Prior to the launch of scope rods onto the market, most people were using like 12-foot rods for their general angling, or 13s for distance.
I think everything became about range and going bigger and going further and going, I don't know, heavier.
And now we were turning up saying, actually, why don't you go carp fishing with a shorter rod? I think that was the hardest thing for people to get their heads around. It wasn't the luggage and the unhooking mats, and in latter years, the brolly and stuff that came with it. It was just but I've used a long carp rod for so long, why would I now want a short carp rod?
Not only is it a change in, obviously, you've got 6, 9 and 10 foot, but also the fact they're retractable.
Well, it's the same as everything in life, change. No one likes change, and all of a sudden a brand turns up and says, these are really good 9 and 10 foot rods.
But we weren't trying to compete in the same market as them. It was more about creeping around, having the compact tackle, be able to get on the move quick.
It was a way of changing your angling style completely. If you wanted to go off and do a little quick bit of stalking in the bush, you've now got an option to have a rod that not only is small, but it compacts even smaller.
You found people gravitating towards the 10-foot rods over the 9-foot rods. They were prepared to go shorter, but it felt like too much of a leap to go from 12 to 9.
But I think once people had the chance to get their hands on and use them, they realised that they were very, very capable rods.
The first time I ever had a scope rod in my hands, well, it would have been in the office with Kev. The box would have arrived, it would have been like being at Christmas. We would have opened that box, looked at those rods, both looked at each other with a big smile on our face, and probably went fishing the next day or even that night, and it would have been back to the big pit that I referenced, where the rod concept was conceived by Kev. Immediately it would have made our fishing more easy, more enjoyable, and for that particular venue anyway, a lot of the time we were wading the rigs out or casting short to medium range, and literally from the off we would have been like, these are perfect.
Do you know what? It's so long ago now, I don't actually remember the first time I used it, but I do remember embracing the concept. I had the original 9-foot scope rods, 3-pounders.
I was working in a small aquatic store and I was travelling from there to all of the venues in the city, and it was that bad that I wouldn't even take a bed chair with me. I'd have to sleep on a small roll mat on the floor because I couldn't possibly carry a 12-foot rod skin and a rucksack and my bed. When I moved over to Scope Stuff, I was able to take a very small rod bag, retractable 10-foot rods at the time, a small carry-all and a bed, a 4-fold bed. This is, again, another product that was the first in the market. I went from doing one night every couple of weeks to doing 2-3 nights a week, and that's purely based on the compact size of the scope range and how accessible it was to now get around on the train and tube.
Did my fishing change?
For me, scope solved a problem, and that is mobility. Previously to scope, I lacked the ability to be mobile on the bank. And from the scope range launching, I was now not only able to fish more venues, but also able to be more active, proactive, and efficient once I'm actually at the venue.
I think it was the beginning of a change. I don't think it changed it per se, but it opened my eyes and my mind to not being a camper. Mobility is everything in my fishing. It's become more and more important to me.
For me, the whole Scope brand fitted perfectly with my kind of fishing. Keeping my equipment light, reduced to a minimum size, being able to get on the move quick and, chase the carp down is essentially how I like to conduct all my angling.
It opened up a lot of doors for me. You know, that freedom to travel, the freedom to move at the drop of a hat, throw a rucksack on, climb over fences, stiles, move through dense undergrowth. It allowed me to fish way better.
I think any angler can benefit from scope, I really do.
Whether you're using 6-foot rods in the edge or whether you're casting 100 yards with 10-foot rods, the scope range has just about everything you need to cover every single angling situation.
It's such a versatile rod. If you're fishing 0 to 100 yards, why would you use anything apart from the scope?
With the exception of long-range casting, I feel it's the perfect carp fishing range.
For me, I don't think there's any limits to the size carp you can catch on a scope in carp fishing. Certainly not in Europe.
People often ask, is the scoper up to the job of the type of fishing that I do, be it rainbow or be it a big mission across Europe?
Can I extract big fish from weed beds with a 9-foot scope? Yes, I can. Can I lob big, heavy, solid PVA bags? Can I tow big rods out long in a boat? Yeah, I can do all of those things.
They're a very capable tool. I've landed 62-pound carp on a 6-footer. I've landed a number of upper 60s on 9-footers and 10-footers. And for me, they're an incredible rod with incredible performance.
Looking back over the last decade, the evolution of the scope rods, there isn't much really. And that's a testament to Kev getting it right the first time round. Yes, as new carbons have become available, new fittings, fixtures, reel seats, guides, of course we've enhanced and brought them to life within scope. But fundamentally, when you break it down, a lot of it has stayed the same from that original scope rod.
Scope is an innovative product, and that innovation is continuing in the development of that range, you know, particularly on things like the rods. You can see this year that there's new features on the rods which have not been brought to market before, which you won't find on a competitor's copy of the scope.
Recently, we've expanded the scope range, and there's a couple of really cool items that are going to work out really well for the next bike adventure.
I've been lucky enough to test a few of the items and I've been really impressed with them. I think Nash have listened to feedback for sure.
Top level, the most exciting thing about this new relaunch is the amalgamation of Dwarf and Scope together. You know, we originally had 2 brands that were catering for the same angling type, just at different price points. And now having that all under one umbrella where you can pick from various different price points of rods, you can pick from various different luggage ranges, you can mix those together. It opens up more opportunity for anglers depending on how much they want to spend, but to still be part of that all-encompassing mobility brand, which is Scope.
Scope rods have allowed me to fish in so many places where a 12-foot rod would not be possible.
Scope has without a doubt made me the angler that I am today.
Scope has enabled me over the last decade to fish effectively in all sorts of places in this country and right across Europe.
The ability to travel on a plane, it's opened up a whole new world of opportunities for me. I don't think any of that would be possible without that Scope range.